So here we are in Successors. This is still the first turn, the second strategy phase round, and it's going to be Blue's turn. Get to do something we haven't done before, which is the surrender segment. At this point, we see Blue has grabbed a couple more territories over here in Thessaly. Just securing his holdings there. He doesn't have... oh, he's got some in Armenia too. He grabbed. Alright. Now he gets to choose his Taiki card and take his actions. I'm not sure what he's doing, but I just wanted to show that things just where you are just kind of devolves upon you. After one move, you conquer territories, but you can only expand a little bit at a time that way. The big expansion would be by playing the Taiki card, but that's only into neutral areas. So I've kind of skimmed the play guide last night before I went to sleep. It's actually quite an extensive example. Running, I read the historical notes or tried to read them. They're not terribly interesting to me, done just as a biography. This runs a good 10 pages almost, 9 pages. And it gave me a better idea of what people are trying to kind of do in an experienced game. So with my blue dudes, and we have Antigonus and Antipater, I played... oh, that's a bonus card. I could have removed somebody too. I chose not to. I just wanted the operations points from it. I bought myself a couple of locations within range. And then most of the players there are taking extra troops, building their army up. Saying, how else do you get troops? I mean, you only get reinforcements every big turn. Troops are kind of a rarity. However, I did decide I wanted to move, so I'm grabbing more of Armenia, pulled my troops back from Thessaly, one went up into here. I'm not sure how much value that is, but I want to claim the space, if I'm using a troop movement anyway. And then I moved down to Halicarnassus, which is going to give me the Asia Minor fleet once I actually own it. It seemed to me that grabbing some victory points cheaply would be worthwhile. Of course, I have a decent legitimacy. This guy is the big contender there, though. And legitimacy is safer to go for than victory points. Victory points, you end up being the usurper if you start collecting up too many. And right now, blue is actually tied for that lead, so that could be a danger for them. Of course, yellow is liable to keep expanding their size as well. So after taking the black turn, I feel like I have a pretty clear goal. It's to try to develop a path up as far as the Hellespont. I'm not going to be able to make it to Europe very easily, but if I can get that close, maybe I could fight my way through with the funeral card. Doing so, I want to get more troops up to me. I want to make sure the path through Mesopotamia is clear. And this was interesting. Got these royal guard type units, whatever. This guy could have intercepted and blocked me. He didn't succeed. This guy would have actually rolled the success, but he didn't want to intercept. So I said, oh wait, no, that's no good. Because had he intercepted, these troops would have defected, from my understanding, and he would have had no troops. They would have withheld from the battle, and they're all he has there, because he sent out his regular Macedonian, his loyal units, off under the generals. Well, that was maybe a bad idea, because now he's got no way to block. His hope had been to not only grab Syria, but to create a wall where black couldn't get through. Well, he's failed with that. Again, I'm going to make mistakes like that all along. I'm sure black's going to get their lines cut the way it looks to me, because there's nothing that really can prevent someone from just moving in and taking these territories, except that they have to expend movement to do so, which might be kind of difficult. All right, well, let's continue on with our usurper, the yellow player. So I've continued through this second card play. And it's really hard for me to understand sort of I mentioned this before, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I kind of thought I was for a while, but I really don't. Because the territory you control doesn't matter except for victory points. It's just sort of a, oh yeah, I walked through this and claimed it, or I played cards and claimed it. And okay, that's my goal for the game, fine. But in terms of stopping someone, just holding territory doesn't matter. So now red's positioned themselves in Mesopotamia, and all this work black's been doing to gain a route has been kind of defeated. And they can't just move forward because, I mean, they can't just fight him, because that loses them their champion status, and then everybody can gang up on them. And they can't simply, there's no other way around, basically. I mean, they could try to fight yellow here, but they don't want to get into the fighting either. They don't want to wear their forces out. So it's kind of a weird pre-positioning here. Maybe I stretched too far with these, and now red's been able to come down. One thing red's done is left this territory unoccupied to allow yellow to move in and provide an additional threat. Good, bad, hard to tell. It may just be, gee, I can't possibly hold that. I don't know. Anyway, kind of blundering through this in the same way that I blundered through Twilight Struggle. And I think I only have one vid for that actually up. I thought I had done multiple, but apparently not. It's not the kind of game that you get a good feel for by playing once, or by playing the first time. I can tell you that for certain. The strategies just are not intuitive. And what I'm even trying to do, I mean, I've got these clear goals, the victory point goal or the legitimacy goal. But what I'm trying to do to affect those is not that clear without having played it a few times, I think. Blues turn, they played the Unrest event. For whatever reason, they're taking the Kingdom of the Dardani down. I don't know how worth it is, but they want to pocket victory points slowly, and those are hard to get. Just have a reserve. If they start winning battles against someone, maybe they'll get close to winning because of the back territories that they have. They also went to cut the Mesopotamian line some more. It looks pretty cut by red already. They were kind of taking a chance there. Red could have intercepted, but no big loss. The problem... Oh, and they went and landed, again, for whatever reason, take the Cyclades. Now, they actually have a plan for this. They want to get control of Crete, so they have Cretan archers, and it just seems like a move in their correct direction. Rhodes is too expensive to attack for this, although they'd like to eventually, because they'd like to build up their fleet. They're already at the largest fleet. Black played the Cilician pirates, giving them this. That gives them another option, maybe to make a hop past red, because red has no fleets whatsoever yet. But they're kind of struggling otherwise. They got a bad movement roll. Remember, you don't have to take your movement. You could take a mercenary instead, but they've got 3 forces back here, or 3 units back here. So, since they couldn't move directly to their capital in Babylon, they're moving some closer, but also took a risk. Not a huge risk. They can always back out. They slipped forward and back and did not get intercepted. I'm not sure if the interception would have been desirable anyhow. But for Susa, and in their siege, they ended up losing one of their major generals, just disrupted for now. He can come back, but that puts them at a real disadvantage up here in terms of forces that they have available for the rest of this turn. Certainly Red could move in and fight them, but then they'd lose their champion status. And nobody wants to do that. That just seems dangerous to me. So far nobody's been picking on yellow yet. There doesn't seem to be much reason for it, but it's their turn. And to finish things up for this round, yellow played the 23,000 Greeks abandoned their eastern colony, sent him moving across Hyrcania. It allowed them to then take control of Hyrcania with the ops points, as well as expanding into Phoenicia, grabbing that fleet, and some victory points. They're well ahead now there. And then they took pause and built more troops, mercenaries, instead of moving further. They finally captured this. They're not looking at Medea as a good base to attack out, to try to do anything out of, especially towards the movement or potential movement of Alexander's body. So this is where they're going to concentrate. And then Red feels that they're in kind of a struggle, a kind of weakened position because of what they did to Black. Anyway, they played a bonus card as well. Used the points to build up troops. We see both they and Blue are building Macedonian phalanx units. But they put Philip over here, and that solves a lot of their legitimacy problem, but they're still facing a problem with regards to Black. They have to figure out how to get their legitimacy above Black's. Now, if Black becomes no longer a champion, however, which they would if they attack, Red has more legitimacy, and they say, So right now, Red feels that they're sufficient with their block, even though it's not terribly powerful, and it's kind of risky. Black lost the points for Macedonia here, and that's been recorded. They're now kind of towards the bottom in the victory point scale. Since that's the end of the third card, I think, I'm going to load this one up, and we'll finish up the turn on the next one. So here we are in Successors, still first turn, third card play. Blue, everybody's pretty much trying to consolidate their position for the movement of the body, which is sort of the big event coming up. So Blue played influence spreads so that they could take Crete, and they got the point for that. Their siege up in the Dardani is not working well, and they took a pass on their turn in order to build more troops in Macedonia, just because that is their key. Black played the Scythian invasion, allowing them to move the Greeks, the Cappadocians out of their way a little bit, as well as these Greeks, who have now taken all of Thessaly back. They can't go any further. They're only allowed to live in these areas. And then, what else? Oh, the Scythians came down and took something away from Red. Red might be, I may have Red had too many victory points. I gotta recount. I gotta constantly recount the victory points in this. Yellow played this event to no effect, grabbed, just for the points, grabbed Syria, whatever. And they built forces, mercenaries more. And then Red played this, Again, they used the points, but they used them towards troops and built more troops themselves. Basically just trying to build enough of a block up that maybe they can get the body and put it somewhere useful. Alright, let me count the victory points, make sure red's right. I've had to do this with some of the others too. Blue essentially continued to entrench, grabbing the Cretan archers bonus and additional forces at Pella. Their sieges making some ground, and otherwise they're standing where they are. Black played the Olympias event, which gives them tremendous legitimacy. They're up to 12. Maybe they can make it just burying him for 2. Not really. Legitimacy's hard to get, and there aren't a lot of options open. So he buries him for 2. That puts him up to 14. Where's he going to get any more? Seriously. He's got a ton of it. The only place he could get enough would be from Philip III, who's up here. And once you make it there, well, you might as well try to bring the body further. The danger, of course, in moving the body is that gives everyone else the legitimacy possibility as well. Alright, and then he did a movement roll. Got a bad roll, wasn't able to bring these guys up. Was able to collect one of the units. Up here, ran away from the Greeks, who can affect them in Epirus. So, doesn't really want to get destroyed there. That's a valuable little force. And that's about it. Now we move on to the other half. And the turn ends up with yellow playing this card to build more troops. And then stabbing down, grabbing Persis, and moving up and taking the rest of Phoenicia. They're not even bothering with the legitimacy factor of Heracles here. They have. They probably should. Let me see if they could have. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they could have grabbed him. They might as well pick him up. Ptolemy. It's not a lot of legitimacy, but it means they won't lose the same positioning against blue. They're looking, though, that they're not really going to be... They're quite possibly going to be turning away from champion. Because of their high victory point total, they're going to be attackable anyway. And they're looking at trying to fill the vacuum as black moves forward, grabbing Susiana, which requires sieging Susa, or this, which is safe. But if you siege something, that becomes an act of aggression and makes you no longer a champion. That was actually something I had to fix. I sent the minor general over here to Sardis. I've sent him down here instead, same effect, to Militara. He'll be able to grab Lydia that way without losing his champion status. Plus, he didn't have enough forces to siege, actually. Speaking of which, I don't know if this guy does either anymore. I don't think he does. I should give him one of those mercenaries to make up for that. But yeah, the conduct of these different siege battles, etc., is kind of a painful aspect for all of this. That is the one thing that you can define your territory with, is the major cities. It's about all you have. You can grab them easily enough when they're uncontrolled, but once they're controlled, it's very, very painful. You have to take that hit, and taking sieges is a much harder task as well, as we see. It can take a couple of turns, or it requires you to take movement actions and spend movement points to do it. But I'm beginning to decide that movement actions are probably a bad idea, at least on that first turn. All right, so we're done with the first turn, and I'll mark this here. We're coming into the second. We'll get the reinforcements. He gets his leader back. And see how this all works out when the body starts to move. All right, up it goes.